zuerst John Rawlings aus den Niederlanden und Vertreter von CESO, dann Markus Lemke vom BOP-Net aus Deutschland, Greg Winstanley von Doncaster College, Raymond Bagno von ADREP, Roberta Lobianco und Maja Rusimova von Euroinform. Und das habe ich vergessen. I have to switch into English. Okay, I just said in the introduction that we had a piloting in 7 partner countries, and all 7 partners tested the hat-trick concept in cooperation with football clubs, with football teams, but all in different settings, depending on what kind of football club it was and depending on the regional conditions. And I would like to start with John Rawlings from the Netherlands. He was in a special position because he's not only an expert in education, he is also the president of a very important there regional football club. And so his contacts, of course, to the world of football was a little bit different. So John, maybe you can explain how did you do the piloting with the football clubs?
Yes, your introduction was correct. I'm not only a representative of CESO as partner in this project, but also strongly involved in the football club, amateur level, but quite ambitious. And next to that, I'm also a board member of the foundation Learn Respect, which you see I wear the T-shirt from. And I was in the lucky position that I could test the hat-trick piloting phase in more than one area. On one hand, we did that in my football club, where we did it with the 2 teams of approximately 70 to 24, 25 years. And in the foundation Learn Respect, where we organize all kinds of workshops, not in Clubverband, sagt man, not in a club environment, but in the social environment of neighborhoods, schools, etc. And we had a project running in the region Sittard, Geleen, that's also in the area of South Limburg, where we had target groups from 12 to 15 years and 15 to 17 years. And in those both age groups, we also piloted the hat-trick products. And what you see is quite interesting, that that there is quite some difference in the learning needs of those target groups. The most important experience that we did in our region was that footballers, young people who want to play football, want to play football in the first place, and don't come to the club or to a workshop or whatever to learn, let's say, boring school stuff. And so what we learned was that you always have to put your content in, let's say, a practical context where young people have fun in performing the sport and playing with each other. And in that content, let's say the hidden message of learning competences for professional or private life is a wonderful experience. But first of all, you need to focus on the game. That's what we thought. And I must say we had quite some nice experiences with both groups. And from that point of view on, we in both areas we are willing to continue our work, on the one hand in the football club with, let's say, training our youth trainers, and also have hat-trick content integrated in our training programs for our teams. And on the other hand, in the Foundation Learn Respect, where our message is that, let's say, learning what respect is about and earning respect through performance and cooperation in teamwork is our important goal, and is also one of the main, let's say, aspects in the hat-trick philosophy as well. I don't know if I think it's enough for this moment.
For the start,
okay.
It's enough. Maybe just something to add, which was an interesting outcome of the whole piloting. The main, as I presented, the main target group was youngsters young men between 15 and 25, and what I think nearly all partners found out that it was much more easy to work with younger players than with the older. The older they get, the more difficult is it to involve them into such additional training activities. On the one hand, because they are more involved in the sportive process, like playing championship, and there is much more pressure on the club, maybe, to perform.
I think not only from the aspect of the difficulty in working with the target group, but also that you, I think, the earlier you start with, let's say, teaching social competences, also in sports environments, the more affected will resort. And so that's what we see, that you, by playing the game and doing all kinds of exercises, you transfer all kind of values and extra competences in the game as well. So for a little example, what we do in the workshops of Learn Respect, for example, is that every training activity starts with a greeting, and it's involved in our program. So when you come in and you meet each other, then everyone greets each other in a special way. So I just from let's say a polite way of acting, and I think that those are very basic skills which and once someone uses it in these trainings, it gets more and more natural, and I think that's what it's about. You shouldn't learn, let's say, content like dumped on you, but you have to. It has to deliver internal development that young people help to become what we say responsible and self-managing citizens, because that's what we all want, I think.
Thank you. Another setting for the testing in hat-trick for working with the football teams. Did the college from Doncaster College, because they did not work in cooperation with a football club. They did the piloting more or less in your own institution. So maybe.
Yes, we came in at a different angle really, because we had a great opportunity at the college within further education, where in Doncaster and across sort of England there are many social problems. But in England, as you probably know, that football is the main sport and everybody loves it and everybody goes mad for it. So at Doncaster College, we run a program called NEETS, which stands for Not in Education, Employment or Training. So these are students 14, 15 years old who've been kicked out of school because they don't really sit into that, school environment. It's not really for them. So they come to college. A bit more adult sort of environment, and a bit more free for them, and they really engage in that environment. So we saw a perfect opportunity to work with this population for the hat-trick project. So we ran it over 5 weeks, and the trainers there, who are also teachers, but they are coaches as well, really got involved with it, and the students absolutely loved the program, which is where we sort of really found that this was a kind of a special program in terms of, this population are not traditionally involved in a football club. They're not traditionally wanting to progress in football, but in terms of their life and integration and the softer skills, which for me personally is far more important than concentrating on results, progression, you know, being successful in football, let's say. Try and take the focus away from that, concentrate on the processes, what we get involved in for the Hat-Trick project, and that will naturally develop, which is what we saw as well. So these students now, you know, at the end of the program, the feedback that we got was that, you know, it's one of the best programs that they got involved in terms of their experience at college, and they were just wanting more and more and more of it as well, you know, with the football side as well.
And you have also plans to continue with the project?
Yeah, I mean, back in England, we spoke about developing the program further and really trying to validate it and turn it into a real qualification, so the students then come away with something on their CV as well as the experience, you know, in a way that it's not focused on a qualification, but there's some sort of evidence there as well, which, you know, the processes to go through to get there, you know, it's quite interesting and complicated, but you know, we have discussed the development of that in the future.
Okay. So another experience, what most of the partners had in common was, except those two partners, we had two partners which were very closely linked to a football club, which was John from the Netherlands and then Raymond Adrep from France, who had colleagues, colleagues which are football trainers on their own, so they had a close link to a football club, and the cooperation was more or less easy. Not so easy was it. It was for other partners. It was a little bit more complicated to find a cooperating football club or a football team. I mean, we all finally succeed, but some of us had to, had main challenges to finding a club to cooperate. And I think the team from Italy had a special challenge because you wanted to train with a multicultural team, and it didn't work so.
Yeah. It was really a challenge. Because at the beginning we contact an adult educator who has been working with different football teams. We explain him the project, the goals. He suggests us, okay, you can contact this football team. I'm a coach there. It's a multicultural football team with local young people come from disadvantaged area of Palermo, at risk of exclusion, with young people from Rome community. We thought that's perfect. We can do it. No, we didn't realize how much was difficult. Could be difficult. We start to organize some events to get in contact with them, to explain the project. We organized some pizza together. We thought so that could be. Then the coach have been contacted by the adult educator, and they decide to have two adult coach and two junior coaches from migrants background. And then during the first session, the adult educator came there. He realized that the team was not exist anymore because they had some arguments between them. I mean, the local young people and the migrants. The coach there decided to stop for the last season the trainings because they realized that they were not prepared to work with these targets. Because as you can guess, as you can imagine, working with local people at risk of exclusion and migrants at risk of exclusion, it can be really hard. Anyway, the coach, the adult educator suggests us another team. It was quite calm. Scuola Calcio di Totò Schillaci. I can imagine that you know Toto Schillaci. Toto Schillaci is living in Palermo. He bought some pitches. So at the moment he's organizing trainings for football players, young male. And then we decided to continue piloting with them. It was a successful project, but for us, yeah, it was a pity to don't have this chance with them. We will try. The coach, the adult educator, suggests us to continue to have this kind of trainings. Also the coaches who have been involved in the piloting. At the end of the project, said us, okay, maybe now we start to think about the strategies that we can have with them. That's really good. It's a good result of this project.
Okay, thank you, Roberta. And you can see some kind of impressions from the work. This is from Italy. This is our group. We had to play football as well. We were forced to do this during an event. Yes. Yes. So another target group of the Hattrick project was not only the football players, but the other target group was the football coaches, to qualify them. And also there, the group of coaches our partners worked with was very, very different. I would like to give the word to Markus from Germany. And he may tell you about something about how they worked with the coaches in their training.
Well, I worked with the coaches. I did the coach course for the football trainers, and it started that we tried to get some coaches to do some exercises together. It's always a bit easier if you have a few persons, so you can do a few exercises. And we did some promotional events as well, and it turned out that everyone was very excited about Hattrick and very interested. But it turned out that it was quite difficult to get the trainers in action. So it ended out that we had only a few trainers, a few football trainers, but they were really ambitious and engaged. So they really made more than up to the lack of participants. And the different background of the trainers was quite interesting, because we had a very diverse group by this. And for example, we had one trainer who was working in accountancy, and he was a certified football trainer for youth. So he was a bit experienced on the football way, but he was very interested in the additional value of Hattrick, the work with migrants and integration. So that was something that was new to him, and he brought a friend, a very young man. He was doing Zivildienst, a civil service at school, and he was doing the physical education with pupils. So he had a target group that was very fitting, because it were youth that were, as we call it, socio-economic disadvantaged, because they are in a secondary school in a rural area of Göttingen, a city in Germany. And the last one was an interesting person as well, because he was a German with a Turkish migrant background, and usually he is a football trainer. But at the moment he was very busy, because he did a PhD in socioeconomics. No, pardon, not in social sciences. And in fact, he was really trying to do something integrative exercises in the football teams. So he had really already some experiences which he could share with us. Unfortunately, he had to quit afterwards, because he was not only doing his PhD, but he was also becoming a father. So that was a bit pity. But the few times he could take part, it was very interesting because we had the opportunity to get the view of a person who had a migrational background. And that was something, yeah, we had 2 German trainers and 1 trainer with a Turkish background. So that was quite cool, actually.
So the training and the coach course in Germany was only a very small group, but I think it was really effective and it was quite successful, and the coaches who took part were very motivated, as I can learn. So our Bulgarian partners, this is the representative of Euroinform, Maja Rusimova. They were lucky to cooperate with a very famous football club, I think, yeah. So with the CSK Sofia, with the youth team, and from the coaches' side, they had a cooperation with the National Sports Academy. So I think it was a much larger group of coaches, yes?
Yes, that's true. We have for long years cooperation both with the CSKA Sports Club. In this case, we work with a youth football club of CSKA. And the other, our partner in piloting was National Sports Academy. This academy is higher educational institution which prepares coaches for different kind of sports, and they receive degree coach of football, coach of, let's say, basketball, and especially in football they prepare coaches with sorry, I'm not very in proficiency and degree A and B. We work with all kinds of these coaches, and our experience shows that more educated coaches with higher educations are very, very interested in our subject of our product. And they wish to introduce it in their training practice as optional subject for the beginning, maybe. Further, in future, it will be validated and introduced as regular subject in the institution. We will have a meeting with the head of this department in 2-3 weeks and discuss these questions again. But they support highly this project and develop products. So I think they'll introduce it shortly.
So thank you. Yes, one main result or one main success of the HETRIC project, and I can say I think in all partner countries, is that there were established new contacts to sports organizations, to sports institutions, which will help for the future, of course, to follow the idea of the HETRIC, or to think about options to involve and to integrate maybe the HETRIC qualification in the qualification for sports trainers and sports coaches. And there are also plans in France, in Marseille, to continue the work with HETRIC.
Yes, we continue. I would say before that the advantage of method, HETRIC method, it is its methodology based on the game. And the people of Target Group like to play football and like to play, and it is an excellent support for the social and professional integration of young people. So in France, we made the choice to work with little football clubs in the suburbs, popular suburbs. and not with a big club than Olympique de Marseille, and with the social centers in the popular suburbs, which are in close contact with the young people, migrant people, young people in difficulties. And with this experience, we actually we develop another project funded by Regional Council of Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur and by the Minister of Integration, Égalité des Chances, the French state, and the city of Marseille and other cities around of Marseille. ADREP is a training institute, and we train young people for in the profession of sportive educator with an option football. And the people must obtain a diploma of Ministry of Sports in France, and these people must to develop prevention actions of preventions in the suburbs. And these experiences leur servent used for obtain the diploma. And we use this ATRIC tool for all of formations of sportive educations, actually for players and for coaches. And it's a very, very interesting experience. And
Okay, thank you.
We are happy.
Okay. So last but not least, I just forgot. So we not only had the partners from abroad, we also had, of course, our Austrian team member from the Berater Salzburg, who also did a piloting, and it is Wences Avila who is there in the background, and he has to watch the sound and everything, so he cannot be here with us. But I would like to ask him one question to make this round complete. Can I do it in English?
As you wish. I can make it in English, I can make it in German.
So, Wences Avila was doing the piloting, as I mentioned before, with the SV Liefering. And when you look back for your piloting experience, what would you say was the biggest success as a result of the piloting?
Well, we have to make a little bit history about it, because it was, at the very beginning, it was very difficult to find a club who wants to work with us. It was very difficult also to convince the trainers that they need some kind of education or some kind of workshops to work with young people. I think our biggest success, it was, okay, they gave us 1 day to work with them. They said, okay, you can make these workshops, but just in 1 day. After this first day, they were so convinced that they said, okay, please come again and make a second one with us. I think that was, for us, the best success, that we said, okay, they know now that these workshops that we develop with the whole people here are very important also, not only for the players, also for the trainers, because they can work in another way also with the players when they know these kind of exercises. I think it was one of the best or the beautiful experiences that we had.
So, thank you. Thanks all of you for telling us and sharing some experience on your piloting. Wenn Sie genauer wissen möchten, wie das abgelaufen ist, das kann man auch alles in der Good Practice Broschüre nachlesen oder natürlich sind Sie auch jetzt herzlich eingeladen, wenn Sie noch Fragen haben an die Herrschaften hier auf dem Podium, wie das Ganze abgelaufen ist, sind Sie natürlich auch herzlich eingeladen. Also man kann auch Fragen stellen. Oder wenn Sie das nicht möchten, können Sie das jetzt auch in der nachfolgenden Kaffeepause tun, die hoffentlich schon so weit hergerichtet ist. Ich sage mal herzlichen Dank. Thank you very much. And we will have a coffee break now.